Welcome to the deep dive. We are so thrilled to have you with us today.
Yeah, so glad you could make it.
To start things off, I want you to take a second and just picture a factory in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine the assembly line. You can hear the loud, rhythmic thud of machinery, the hum of the conveyor
The
belts.
smell of machine oil?
Exactly. Picture this factory manufacturing a chair. It's a very linear, logical process, right?
Oh, absolutely.
You have the raw materials, wood, metal, screws coming in at one end. They get cut to exact specifications. They get assembled by robotic arms. They get painted, and out pops a highly predictable, perfectly controlled, identical chair at the other end.
Standard product.
Right.
Yep.
Now keep that industrial start-to-finish image in your mind. Do you think a breathtaking painting is created that exact same way?
Or, what about a melody that completely stops you in your tracks when you hear it?
Yeah, is it manufactured just like the chair? Today, we are taking a deep dive into a really profound and honestly perspective-shifting set of ideas drawn from a text titled, "Art is Not Made, It Moves Through Us."
It's such a powerful title.
It really is. Our mission for this deep dive is to fundamentally redefine what art actually is.
Yeah.
We're going to challenge this deeply ingrained assumption that we all walk around, with the assumption that human beings somehow invent, originate, or completely control art.
And that distinction is exactly why this matters to you as we go through this today. We are going to explore how art is not just a manufactured object.
Right.
It is not just a product that gets boxed up and shipped out of a warehouse. It is, at its core, a phenomenon of perception.
Mm-hmm.
We are going on a journey today from seeing art as a static, physical product sitting on a museum shelf to understanding it as a fundamental, dynamic way of looking at the entire world.
It's huge.
It really is a complete reframing of how we interact with our environment, our work, and our own minds.
Okay, let's unpack this. The core argument we are looking at today starts by confronting a phrase that we have probably all heard or maybe even fiercely defended ourselves.
Oh, I know I have.
Only humans make art.
Yeah, we hear that all the time.
The text points out that every time we hear or say that statement, there are these massive, quiet assumptions hiding underneath it. We have this underlying belief that art belongs to us.
Like it's our property.
Exactly. We assume that we invented it from scratch, that we have total dominion over it, and yes, that we manufacture it the exact same way that factory manufactures a chair. It's this incredible illusion of ownership. We want to put a trademark on it.
It really is an illusion of ownership, and the author tackles this head-on, stating quite clearly that we are not the owners of art.
Or not.
We're not even the authors of it in the way we so often like to flatter ourselves into imagining. Instead, we are introduced to this fascinating concept. We are conduits.
Conduits.
Think about what a conduit actually does in the physical world. A copper pipe doesn't generate the water that flows through it.
No, it just carries it.
Right. A wire doesn't invent the electricity. It simply provides a necessary channel for that energy to travel from one place to another.
Wow, that's a great way to look at it.
The argument here is that human beings do not generate art out of the void. Instead, something intangible passes through us.
And what's passing through us isn't necessarily a mystical force. It can be incredibly grounded.
Oh, absolutely.
It might be a complex idea. It might be a sudden recognition of a pattern. Or it could just be a very sharp, fleeting moment of perception.
Yeah.
And it's only in that specific moment, when that intangible thing passes through the human mind, that we step in and give it form.
We catch it.
We catch it. We capture that fleeting pattern, and we turn it into something tangible, like a painting, a melody, or a poem.
Mm-hmm.
But what I love is that this goes so far beyond what we traditionally gatekeep as the arts. We also give these patterns form through a brilliant line of code, an innovative piece of architecture, a completely new industrial design, or even an elegant mathematical expression.
It applies to everything.
It does. The human is just the translation layer. We are giving physical form to an intangible structure that flowed through our consciousness.
I want you listening right now to just pause and reflect on your own experiences with this. Think about your own aha moments.
Oh yeah, those flashes of inspiration.
Exactly. Maybe you are deep into coding a new piece of software or designing a layout for a presentation or just problem solving a really complex logistical issue at work.
Trying to make the pieces fit.
Right. Try to recall that specific feeling when the perfect solution finally hit you. It rarely feels like you artificially manufactured that answer block by block, does it?
Oh, it almost hits you all at once.
It almost always feels like the idea simply passed through you. It feels like a sudden arrival. You caught it and you gave it form. You translated it into a spreadsheet or an email or a piece of code.
That's spot on.
That sensation, that sudden arrival of an elegant solution, that is the conduit experience we were talking about.
Here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
Because if we accept this idea that we are conduits giving form to intangible patterns, we run into what is called the strange phenomenon of encounter.
This part is wild.
It is an incredibly surprising pivot in the philosophy. The argument is that the moment someone else encounters your creation, the art actually stops being the object itself.
Yes, this is where we have to explicitly decouple the concept of art from the physical medium. And to really grasp the philosophical weight of this, we need to break it down.
Okay, let's do it.
The painting hanging on the wall is not the art.
Right.
The high-resolution audio file sitting on your phone is not the art. The code itself written out in syntax on a monitor is not the art.
Those are just the forms.
Exactly. They are just the physical or digital objects.
So let me play devil's advocate here for a second to represent the natural skepticism we all probably feel hearing that.
Oh, for it.
If the physical canvas isn't the art, why do we spend hundreds of millions of dollars building heavily guarded museums to protect canvases? Why do we insure the Mona Lisa? If the object isn't the art, that seems completely contradictory. Does this diminish the skill of the creator who made the object?
Not at all, and it's a great question. The object, the Mona Lisa, for instance, is incredibly valuable because it is a highly refined, masterfully engineered container.
A container.
Think of it like a recipe for a cake. If I hand you a piece of paper with a recipe on it, you wouldn't say the paper is the cake.
No, I'd say it's just ink on paper.
Right. The paper is just a set of precise instructions. The cake only exists when those instructions are executed, and the experience of the cake only happens when you taste it.
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
In the same way, the audio file on your phone is just a set of digital instructions. It's a recipe. The art of that music only happens when that recipe is processed by human ears, interpreted by a human brain, and evokes a human emotion.
So the object is just the trigger.
The object is just the trigger.
That makes so much sense. So the art actually appears inside the mind of the person experiencing it. The canvas is just the carefully engineered trigger designed to create a specific perception in the viewer's consciousness.
Exactly. And because of this, we have to completely redefine what a true artist is.
Awesome.
The true artist is not just the person who produced the physical thing, the person holding the paintbrush or writing the code. The true artist is also the one who receives it.
The audience.
Yes. The receiver is actively participating in the creation of the art simply by perceiving it. Without the mind to experience it, to recognize that beauty or meaning, the object is literally just pigment on a cloth or random sound waves or metal and gears. The art relies entirely on the observer's mind to manifest.
Which totally flips our definition of an artist on its head. It means the person walking through the gallery, quietly looking at the canvas and feeling moved by it, is doing just as much creating in that moment as the person who held the brush.
Precisely.
The act of recognizing the beauty is the art itself, and this is true across disciplines. The true artist is the person who is listening to what everyone else dismisses as random noise, but they somehow hear music.
Yes.
Or the person who can look at a complex mathematical equation like Euler's identity and suddenly recognize a profound, startling beauty in how the numbers relate to one another.
Right, because what is happening in the mind of the mathematician looking at an elegant equation is neurologically and philosophically identical to what happens in the mind of someone looking at a Rembrandt.
They're both seeing the pattern.
They are perceiving an underlying harmony. They are encountering the art.
Which brings us to a really helpful distinction. To manage all of this, society relies on what we can call the lowercase form of art.
The familiar stuff.
Right. These are the very familiar, socially agreed upon containers that we have all decided to label as art. Paint on a canvas, notes written out on a musical staff, words printed on a page in a novel.
Things we easily recognize.
We get so caught up in these familiar containers because they are easy to categorize. We build museums and concert halls for them. We think the container is the art.
But if we connect this to the bigger picture, we can contrast that lowercase art with what happens when people begin to look beyond those familiar containers.
When they zoom out.
Exactly. When you decouple the art from the object and realize it's a phenomenon of perception, some people begin to see art absolutely everywhere.
It's no longer trapped in a frame.
It is no longer confined to a gallery or a theater. The entire universe becomes a canvas waiting for a mind to perceive it.
And this isn't just a poetic metaphor. We are talking about literal, observable structures. We mentioned equations earlier, but we can also look at language systems.
Oh, language is a perfect example.
The way grammatical structures evolve naturally over centuries to convey complex human thought is incredibly beautiful if you know how to look at it.
Yes, and we see it profoundly in biological forms too. We aren't just saying nature is pretty. We are talking about the staggering, efficient complexity of a single cell.
Or the Fibonacci sequence.
Exactly. The Fibonacci sequence dictating the spiral of a pine cone or the arrangement of petals on a sunflower. There is a mathematical elegance there that is indistinguishable from intentional design.
You can see it in the fractal branching of a river delta that perfectly mirrors the microscopic branching of the veins in human lungs, or in the precise intuitive movement of a flock of birds turning in unison.
It's everywhere.
You can find it in the delicate balanced structure of an entire ecosystem where millions of variables interact in this massive self-sustaining loop.
And we also find it in the cold logic of machines. Let's go back to the coder for a moment.
Okay.
Why is a specific algorithm considered beautiful by a software engineer? Because it takes a massively complex, chaotic problem and solves it with startling, resource-efficient simplicity.
It cuts through the noise.
There is an art to how all those logical parameters interact without wasting a single byte of memory. It is truly everywhere once you break out of that lowercase definition.
But let me push back on this again, because I know what some of you listening are probably thinking.
Sure, lay it on me.
If I look at a mundane, everyday object, like a corporate spreadsheet,
Yeah.
and I decide it's beautiful because the formulas are clean, doesn't that water down the definition of art so much that the word loses all meaning? If absolutely everything is art, is anything art?
That is the crucial question. But the answer is no, it doesn't water down the meaning because we aren't saying that every physical object is automatically art. Remember, art is the perception. The spreadsheet itself isn't the art. The art is the specific mode of attention you bring to it.
It's how you look at it.
It requires active effort. When you break out of the lowercase definition, something fundamental shifts. Art completely stops being an activity. It stops being something you do in a studio with a smock on, and it stops being a noun that sits on a pedestal.
It becomes a verb almost.
It becomes a perception. It becomes a highly attuned, fundamental way of seeing the world around you. Most people walk past the river delta or the architectural support beam or the complex code, and they just see the mundane objects.
They just see the container.
The art only exists when a mind actively engages with it and recognizes the underlying harmony.
That is a phenomenal distinction. It's an active engagement, not a passive label. But look, even with this expanded definition, it's totally understandable why people still fiercely cling to the old way of thinking.
Oh, excellent.
Going back to that initial quote we discussed, only humans make art. When people make that claim, they aren't usually trying to be narrow-minded. They're actually trying to defend something sacred.
They want to protect our uniqueness.
Especially now in an era where we are constantly questioning what makes humans unique. People say only humans make art to protect something uniquely meaningful about human consciousness and human creativity.
What's fascinating here is there is a profound, almost grand irony about that urge to defend human creativity.
What's the irony?
The irony is that art was never ours to defend in the first place. It did not originate with us. We did not invent the mathematical symmetries of the universe.
Right, we just noticed them.
We did not invent the harmonic resonance of sound waves. We did not invent the golden ratio. Because we didn't invent the foundational patterns of art, we do not have to live in fear of protecting it from being lost or diminished or replicated.
It's almost a relief, right? Because art is part of a much larger movement. It is something far older and far larger moving through the world. It moves through nature. It moves through culture. It moves through human minds.
Yes.
And crucially, these systems and patterns existed long before human consciousness ever arrived on the scene. The universe was already operating on these elegant mathematical and physical laws.
Exactly. But it's vital to clarify that this perspective doesn't demote humanity or make human creators irrelevant.
We still have a part to play.
A huge part. We aren't just passive bystanders. Humans still do something truly extraordinary. We are the sensitive instruments that can detect these patterns, and then we do the incredibly difficult work of giving form to what we perceive.
We translate it.
We take the intangible and make it something we can share with another human mind. However, the deeper phenomenon, the underlying pattern, the mathematical beauty, the universal structure that already exists, it was already there. Human art, then, is simply the conscious recognition and translation of it.
So what does this all mean? If we synthesize everything we've just unpacked from this deep dive, the core takeaway for you is this. Art is not a product. Art is a recognition that happens in consciousness.
Beautifully said.
Whether someone experiences art or not doesn't depend on whether an expensive object physically exists in the room with them. The beauty, the patterns, the underlying harmony, they're always there, humming beneath the surface of everyday life. Experiencing art depends entirely on whether a person has actually done the work to learn how to look.
Which leads to a really wonderful practical application for you as you go about the rest of your day today.
I love a good takeaway.
I encourage you to walk through your day just a little bit differently when you are looking at a mundane spreadsheet at work, or checking a complex weather forecast on your phone, or just standing at a bustling, chaotic city intersection waiting to cross the street.
It's normal everyday moments.
Right. Try to step into the role of the true artist. Actively try to recognize the underlying patterns. Look for the hidden structures in the chaos. Find the beauty that is already there, just waiting for a conscious mind to perceive it and bring it to life.
I love that. Be the true artist of your own daily life.
Right.
Don't wait for a museum to tell you when it's time to experience art.
And as we wrap up, I want to leave you with a final lingering question to mull over, something that builds directly on the philosophical groundwork we've laid today.
Okay, thank you.
If art is merely the conscious recognition of pre-existing universal patterns and beauty, does that mean the universe essentially developed human consciousness just so it could finally have a mirror to witness its own masterpiece?
Wow. That is definitely something to chew on. Are we just the universe's way of finally seeing itself? Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive today. We hope it sparked something new for you and maybe give you a new lens through which to view your afternoon. Until next time, keep your eyes wide open.